Hello YouTube! Today on the Naughty Librarian, I'm going over my mid-November wrap-up. Can you believe we're halfway through November? It's almost Thanksgiving. That just occurred to me today that it's almost Thanksgiving. So for my international viewers, Thanksgiving is an American holiday. It's always on a Thursday. You cook a bunch of food. La la la. So yeah, and it's like a week away, and I just don't know what to do with myself. So speaking of things that are coming up very soon, this Saturday, November 20th at 11 a.m. Pacific time, we're going to be doing the live show for the Blades and Bodice Rippers book club, and this time we are discussing Magnus Chase and the Sword of Summer. So this is the like Norse mythology based series from Rick Riordan, and I love me some Uncle Rick, so it's gonna be a good time. And then on Sunday the 21st at 12 p.m. Pacific time, I'm doing my next wine chat. I'm super excited about it. This time we're gonna do a Provence Rosè. I have some rosé here. We're drinking more rosé. I'm just getting in the spirit of it. So come hang out, come for the wine, stay for the vibes. We're gonna talk about books, we're gonna talk about wine. It's gonna be fun. I have a lot of fun doing it, and like I love talking to you all, so come hang out. It's gonna be a good time. So between Saturday on Mara's channel and Sunday on my channel, you'll be seeing a lot of me. But enough with the live show chat. This month I read 6 books so far, and you know, I'm pretty much over 2 genres only. I've kind of been like just reading the same things over and over, kind of. But anyway, let's just get into what I've been reading so far this November. The first category is romance, and I read 4 of them. Let's start things off with The Royals Next Door by Karina Halley. And you know what? I'll be honest with you guys. I mainly picked this up for smut purposes. Karina Halley is like chef's kiss of smut. Like always fun, smuttily delightful. The books are usually very funny, and that's what I wanted. I wanted just like a rom-com romp with smutty delights, and it completely delivered. Piper, she's a school teacher, and she also has a podcast she does on the side about romance novels, and you know, she's just trying to like live her life, take care of her mom, do her thing. And wouldn't you know, the new neighbors move in next door, and it's like this married royal couple, so a prince and princess move in next door, including Harrison, the hot bodyguard. So it starts off a bit antagonistic relationship between Piper and Harrison. They don't kind of get along, but then eventually they're like, these guys are totally like gonna just bang the bejesus out of each other. Am I right? I am. I mean, obviously I've read the blurb, but still, it's very apparent that I'm like, ooh, these guys are fighting so much, they're gonna fall in love, and I love it. So yeah, that's kind of all it is. Like, is this like really complex? No, it's not. It's kind of just exactly what you think it is. I mean, nothing really makes a lot of sense, because like these royals move in next door and like fully like make friends with Piper and her mom, who live in this like other house that's kind of like adjacent to the property. Like they go way out of their way to become best friends with their neighbors, and I'm like, you guys are royal, why are you talking to the neighbors? Like, it makes 0 sense. Like, none of the book makes sense, but that's not why I'm reading it. I'm reading it for smut, and the smut is delightful. So in the end, I gave it like 4 stars. I had to take a star off because nothing makes any sense, but like, do I really care that much? Honestly, kind of no. It's funny, it's smutty, it's delightful. It delivered everything I wanted it to deliver. So yeah, 4 stars. It's a fun time. It's definitely worth the read. Speaking about books that are pretty simple, I have The X Hex by Erin Sterling. Now, there is like a bit of mixed reviews about this book. In the end, I ended up giving it like 3.75 stars. I rounded up to 4. Like, is this a good book? Technically, yes, you know, like it's not anything to write home about. It's not like, wow, this was incredible, but like for what it was, it's kind of fun. You have this small town, and there's a lot of witchcraft history in this town, and you have Vivian who lives there, and like 9 years ago, this guy Reese and her had like a hot summer fling, and he messed it up, and they break up. and she, you know, gets drunk and decides to hex him. And, you know, you shouldn't mix vodka and hexing. And nothing really comes of it for a while, so they think they're like, oh, well, that's okay. And then 9 years later, here we are, and Reese is back in town, and oh boy, that hex is a-workin'. So everything just kind of goes magically awry. So, all of the magic in town is just kind of not working as it's supposed to. There's a lot of like silly magic things in here. It's pretty zany, honestly. And I think zaniness is a completely underrated virtue of rom-coms. Like, I want to see silly shit, and this one brings the silly. And also there's a lot of like just weird magical incidents that is just like silly. Like, they have a cat and the cat starts talking. It doesn't have a lot to say, mainly just treats, because it's a cat and wants treats and cuddles and stuff. So I'm like, yes, I love a talking cat. Give me a talking cat any day. And it's really short. This is like 300 pages, and the writing on these pages, because I have the Book of the Month edition, is enormous. So I think paperback it'd probably be less than 300 pages. So it's definitely worth just like knocking it out, probably in a day. It's not really that long, but it's zany, it's funny. There's a little bit of smutty delights in here, and like I had a fun time with it, you know? Like, it's just zany rom-com with witches. On the complete opposite end of the zaniness spectrum, I have The Heart Principle by Helen Wong. And here's the deal. This is like the third book of this series, and I have loved the other two books. And this one is really different than those first two books. This is one I've been really anticipating for so long, because like this is featuring Quan, and I was obsessed with Quan. He has tattoos, he rides a motorcycle, he's kind of a bad boy, but he's also really super smart and really sweet. I love Quan to pieces. And then you also have Anna in this. Anna is kind of a burnt out gifted child. She's a violinist, and she kind of had like viral internet fame with this YouTube video of her playing violin, and then since then she hasn't really been able to replicate that. And that's like the bare bones of who these people are, but really this book goes into so many really heavy issues. Quan is recovering from cancer. Anna is obviously on the autism spectrum and just being diagnosed now as a 20-something woman, because a lot of women go undiagnosed on the autism spectrum. And she's dealing with a lot of her own mental health issues. There's also, you know, taking care of ailing parents. There's like a lot of heavy subject matter in this book that like I wasn't fully prepared for. But thank you guys in the comments, because as soon as I said I was reading this, everyone was just like, oh no, this one's a lot. And I was like, you know what, thank you for the warning. Objectively speaking, I think it's well written, and it's going to resonate with the people it's meant to resonate with, people dealing with like mental health issues, or physical health issues, or just, you know, caretaking in general. I think it's really gonna like hit something different for those people in those positions. As a reader who can relate to some things in this book, it's like a lot of emotional endurance to get through it. So just go in prepared that this is gonna be a lot of undertaking to read, especially for a rom-com. I think it's good. Objectively speaking, it's good. So I gave it 4 stars. It's good. Was it like a fun read? No, it was not, but I don't think it's supposed to be a fun read, you know what I mean? The last romance I read this month so far is Portrait of a Scotsman by Evie Dunmore, and this is the latest in the League of Extraordinary Women series. And I think this might be a shame on me kind of situation. Here's the deal. The first book of this series, like, I surprisingly very much enjoyed, which is odd because it was like made of tropes I don't normally like, and I loved it. So I was like, oh, okay. And then I read the second book and I was like, about it. I was like, well, you know, maybe it was a misstep. So I came into this one thinking like, oh man, this premise sounds dope. And after reading this book, I'm still kind of in the meh situation. So I'm thinking maybe the first book was just a fluke and I keep trying my luck and it's just not panning out. Like, is it bad? No. Like, I think for the right reader, this is going to be awesome. If you really, really like a lot of historical accuracy and, I don't know, educational little tidbits in your books with romance, then I think this is one is going to be stellar for you. Personally, for me, I think zaniness is an underrated, you know, virtue in rom-com. So this doesn't have enough zaniness. It has a lot of, like, real-world situations. Like there's a whole like side plot with like a mine in Scotland where they're trying to like refine this mine so it makes it safer for the workers, and like workers' rights and like suffrage movement. I've been drinking, so let's just go with I can say suffrage correctly. But anyway, this is Harriet and Lucien. Harriet, she has a really sunny personality. We've met her in the other books. I was really interested in how she is actually in her own story. And she kind of does have an interesting arc. Basically, as a woman, you know, in the Victorian era, you don't really have a lot of rights. Your father owns your life, and then he hands you over to some other dude you marry, and then he has all your rights. So it's just like, where's a woman supposed to go? Then you have Lucien, and he is kind of a self-made man, and he's like low-key trying to take down the man. He's like, basically, he would be totally into Bernie Sanders. So hard. Like, he's very much workers' rights, tax the rich, that kind of guy, even though he has a lot of money now because he made himself a lot of money doing kind of sometimes questionable things. So he and Hattie kind of get together, and she has to kind of find her place in the relationship. Essentially, she doesn't really have a whole lot of choice in the issue. She's literally just like handed over to this guy. So a lot of the story is also finding her own independence in this relationship and wanting to choose this for herself, because she didn't actually get to choose it. It just kind of was thrust upon her. So it's interesting seeing Hattie's like character arc growth. And then Lucien, he's kind of a character we've seen a lot, frankly. He's not all that original. Do I like them together? Yes, I do. There's some good things in this book, like consent is a big deal in this, which I really love. And again, it's really historically accurate, and I do like them together. I like their relationship. I like how it grows and progresses. But overall, did I have a lot of fun reading this? Kind of not. It's just, it is what it is. You know what I mean? I don't think I'm the right reader for it, but someone is. So for me, I ended up giving it like 3 stars because it's fine. You know what I mean? It's not really exciting, but it's fine. You know what? I'll round it up. 3.5. I'll give it 3.5 stars. There you go. So it's getting a little extra, but like overall, I'm just not the right reader for it. But I do think it's worth a read if you like those things that I have mentioned. Try it out. Next category is fantasy, and I read 2 of them. I read The Last Graduate by Naomi Novik, and this is the sequel to A Deadly Education, and I had been anticipating this book so hard. In the end, I ended up giving this 4 stars instead of 5, because the first book, 5 stars. This one, like, it had some faults. The setting for the story is the Scholomance, and basically it is a school that they send magical children to, and you're supposed to learn, and you know, that's great, but this isn't like a happy, sunny wizard school full of whimsy. This is a wizard school full of monsters that will literally eat you at the drop of a hat. So this is dark academia because there's literal monsters eating children. So there's a lot going on just in the background. And mainly we're following Elle. She is a young sorceress, and the thing is, like, her magic that's inherent to her is just dark. She's full dark queen. However, she's not that bad of a person, actually. She's actually very ethical and very kind in her own way. She's also very sassy and just kind of like, ugh, fine, I'll save you. Don't make a big deal out of it. So this whole, like, that's her vibe, and I love her. And it's just basically her magic's really evil, but she's not necessarily. And then she has kind of a relationship with this, like, the wonder boy, Orion. And Orion is basically the flashiest chosen one that's ever been chosen. And somehow they get along really well. They're kind of have like a romance type of situation. And throughout the course of this book, graduation is heading here. And essentially graduation is you have to run through this room full of monsters and try not to get eaten. That's how you graduate the Scholomance. And Elle's like, you know what? I don't want to get eaten. I don't want anyone else to get eaten. I'm going to change this shit. I got a lot of magic. Screw it. I'm saving everybody. Get on board. And that's all great. I had a good time. I love Elle as a character. There's a lot of funny bits in here. So it has a lot of things that I really enjoy. The reason why I'm giving it 4 stars instead of 5 is that it's it gets very info dumpy. Like a whole page is just whole pages of info dump. And it's like, we just stopped all of the momentum of this chapter so you could explain things to me. And it's like, no, just like, I don't need to understand everything. It's magic. Just be like, yeah, it worked because magic. Like, I don't need like a 3-page synopsis of like magical theory when it's magic. Like, it's not real. So it's like, do I need an in-depth like science lesson here for magic? And the answer is no. And also the ending. I'll warn you guys, it's a bit of a cliffhanger. Like, how dare? how very dare you, Naomi Novik, for leaving it that way? Oh no, it's a literal just cut to black and you're just like, that's where it ends? So I had like just a panic about it, and I had to wait like a whole year for any more story, and like, oh my gosh, there's such a cut to black moment, and it's not okay. All that being said, 4 stars. It's a fun, magical story, dark academia, comedy, but very dark comedy, and, you know, action and magic and romance a little bit. So it's got a lot of things I really love about it, and I'm just bummed I have to wait a year for like the next installment, but it's really good. I'm totally pre-ordering it the second it becomes available for pre-order. Last book to review is The Wisdom of Crowds by Joe Abercrombie. So, you know, at the risk of Leanna from Leanna's Library questioning our friendship, I ended up giving this like 4 stars. A generous 4 stars. Like, if I'm being real, it's probably 3.75. Like, it hurts me too to say it, because this is Joe Abercrombie. This is the finale of the Age of Madness series, and I was expecting a lot out of it. And I don't really think it delivered. There were so many things I wanted that I just kind of didn't get. I felt like it was just kind of like, here, it's done. So it had like a weird vibe of just kind of getting it over with, which I don't know. Maybe it's just me picking up on that vibe, but it felt very much like, oh, let's just get it over with. And also it spent a fair amount of time setting up another trilogy if Joe Abercrombie chooses to write one. There's a lot of setup for it, like being like laid. The foundation is here for another trilogy, which I assume is going to happen. But yeah, the end of book 2 of this series, hoo boy, like it's a lot. Everybody's like akimbo. Everybody is just in dire straits. No one's happy. Everything's a mess. And this one, it continues to be a mess. And it's a kind of, you know, French Revolution-y, where, you know, the people have had a revolution, and then they start, you know, beheading everybody, and then eventually they start beheading the people doing the beheading, and it just kind of spirals out of control until someone's just like, okay, we need government again. So there's obviously some historical references here. It's kind of like a parallel to the French Revolution, but like grimdark. So, yeah, I don't really have a lot to say about it, because frankly, like, this is book 9 in this world overall. There's a lot to go through. But some characters that I wanted to see things happen for don't get those things, and not even in like a cool way. It just was like, ugh, it was just, I don't know. I wasn't as impressed with it. There you go. I was kind of let down by the ending. But is it going to stop me from reading more books in the series? Absolutely not. I'm totally going to read more in it. It just wasn't my fave. Alright, so those are the 6 books I've read so far this November. So far I feel like I'm going like at a good reading pace. I'm trying not to like overextend myself. I don't want to like just like plow through books. I want to like have time to enjoy. So I feel like 6 books is a respectable number of books. Let me know in the comments down below, what have you been reading so far this month? Have you read anything really interesting? And if so, leave it in the comments down below. Also, I will be seeing you this weekend for not 1, but 2 live shows. November 20th, Saturday, 11 a.m. Pacific time, over on Mara Books Like Woe's channel. We're going to be doing the Blaze and Bodice Rippers book club live show on Magnus Chasing the Sword of Summer. And then come back over here on my channel on Sunday, the 21st. At 12 p.m. Pacific time, and we're gonna do our next wine chat. It's gonna be fun. Come for the wine, stay for the vibes. I have a good time talking to all you guys, so come hang out. It'll be a good time. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like, and if you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe. And I'll see you guys soon.